Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Nina's Chelsea Corner. If you're new around here, it's time for another match review, and it's finally about a win as Chelsea beat Wolves 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. Wow, it has been a while, 5 games. So great to get the 3 points and secure our spot just for now again in top four, as it was really looking in jeopardy. And this just tells you how competitive the Premier League is, and we really cannot afford to drop any more points if we want that Champions League spot. So a lot to do, a lot to fix, but it was great to get this win and it was an absolute must. We didn't blow Wolves away, and I wasn't absolutely thrilled with the performance overall. I think I've seen much better, particularly if you want to look at the reverse fixture with the 6-2 win at the Molineux. It certainly wasn't in that category, but good to get the result anyway. 3 goals there. Trevoh Chalobah returning to Stamford Bridge with a man of the match performance. Call as you like it. Defenders on the score sheet. So yeah, maybe not your perfect kind of scoreline in terms of the attacking players contributing, etc. But it was enough, and that's what matters. If you're new to the channel, guys, welcome. I'm Nina. If at the end of this video you have enjoyed it, then please hit the subscribe button to tune in for more content like this. As always, guys, make sure you're liking the video. It helps out the channel a lot. And as always, leave your comments in below so I know how you guys are feeling, what you're thinking, etc. But yes, we have done the double over Wolves this season, and you might say, yeah, Nina, but that's kind of expected at Chelsea. No, well, they did the double over us last season, so it's kind of an achievement. And actually, this game at Stamford Bridge last season was probably one of the most toxic and was quite a big low. The 4-2 defeat, Pochettino under scrutiny, that's when questions really started to be asked, and it almost kind of felt like the job was on the line. And Pedro Neto at the time was contributing to that win. He didn't really have the effect I kind of envisioned in this game as a blue, but Neto honestly could have had maybe about 2 assists in that game had we had a kind of clinical striker in there. But we'll talk about the game, guys. We'll talk about the setup. We'll talk about how it all went down. And initially when I looked at the lineup and I saw how much rotation there was, as expected because of injuries, and we were informed that Cole Palmer was a question mark, Enzo Fernandez and Lavia had picked up injuries, so they were not going to be featuring in this game. And it kind of made me worry because I saw how thin on the ground we looked with our midfield options, and that sounds bizarre after you actually remember how much money we've spent in that department, but really just a couple injuries away from being very limited with options. Now, since we have jumped on the bandwagon of recalling players out on loans, then you might as well look at recalling some of our midfielders that we have there. Obviously Santos and Ugachukwu were there as options, and I don't think it would be ridiculous to bring them back right now, especially when we need a little bit of reinforcement for our actual midfield. Maybe not both, but take a pick. And the fact that we've already done that with Trev because we've recognised we do need reinforcements in defence, and so desperately that he was straight back in there first game. That is telling that injuries could potentially be the difference in us making top four and not. And that's wild maybe to say, but we really do need a little bit more depth. And the fact that you look to your bench and you don't even have anyone that can come on is quite a worrying sight. Moises Caicedo went down, guys, yesterday for a brief moment, and I was panicking. And is that really a feeling you want to have, where you're absolutely just praying that your midfielder gets up because you cannot afford to lose him, especially when you've got Man City away at the Etihad on the weekend? So it was really a kind of hold your breath moment, and yeah, so a bit concerning about that. But then we went into the game and we started off bright, as we kind of always do. It's always we kind of progressively drop off recently in games where we seem to, even when in a leading position, can't hold on to that, and that's where we've kind of gone on to lose games or drop points. So great to see. We were spamming a lot of crosses, many aerially as well, and they just weren't really being met by anyone. And at times Jackson was way too wide for me, and he was sort of like working hard to bring the ball in, but then when it kind of led to that kind of final pass or that final assist, there was just nobody there to put it away. So it felt a bit wasteful. We were creating, yes, great. It looked really busy in there, and we were definitely kind of causing problems for Wolves there, but it just wasn't that kind of clinical end to a lot of the balls that were getting spammed in. And I always say, you know, Neto is an absolutely amazing crosser. For me, he's behind Cole Palmer the best at crosses in the team, and it just seems a little bit wasteful that nobody was getting on the end of them. You know, Cole Palmer equally was getting a lot of crosses off. He had a shot off as well, unlucky. It was saved, and nobody was there to follow it up as well on the right flank. And I think, you know, had Noni maybe run in, that could have been a goal much earlier there as well. But yeah, overall, our defenders were very involved in kind of pinging crosses over, scooping those balls over the defensive line, trying to get an attacker on the end of them, and it wasn't happening. And I was like, right, we need a goal desperately here, and we need to be the ones who score first. And then, of course, Mr. Tosin, who everyone kind of jokes about, it, you know, stick him up top, he can score you goals. Yeah, gets one for us. It is checked by VAR, and then we celebrate because it's a goal. And again, we are in a leading position. But you're not sat there thinking we're safe or this is great, because we have seen, especially at Stamford Bridge, be 1-0 up and then that be in jeopardy. And it's a vulnerable result, full stop, and especially for us recently. So I'm sitting there thinking we need to get another before half time. But then as the kind of second part of the first half unfolds, Wolves are then in our half and they're causing us some issues, and it looks a little bit concerning at times. And I thought, you know, they really kind of grew into the game and their energy changed, and they really looked like they wanted to pull one back before half time, and so they did. I literally saw them take a corner, obviously late towards the end of the first half, and I just said, oh no, as soon as they were about to take that corner. You know, something about it just made me feel really uneasy. And then Robert Sanchez, who you guys who watch me regularly will know I am forever critical about, and I don't trust him, and I never will, guys. You know, nothing about Robert Sanchez will ever change the way I feel towards him. And I've always said I will praise him if he does it over a span of 10 games. He doesn't even reach 5, guys. that's actually just how concerning it is all round. But, you know, it's a positive. We won 3-1, so I'm not going to focus too much on the negatives here. But Robert Sanchez is just a simple catch, really. But it's not, and it's in, and we've conceded, and here we are. Another clean sheet out the window, and another kind of fight there we have to give in the second half. And previously, our record in recent games shows that second halves are difficult for us, and we kind of seem to lose our ability to kind of keep the energy levels up and be proactive with how we respond to setbacks. So I'm sitting there and I'm a bit worried about the second half, and I'm looking at the bench and I'm thinking, you know, is there someone that can come on and, you know, switch things up a little bit? Nicholas Jackson, again, he was struggling in that game. I thought he really, really was. And whether he was kind of getting marked out at times or he was just way too wide and not in the central positions we needed him to be, I think it was a combination. But he was very low on confidence, guys. And, you know, from the stands when we were celebrating Tosin's goal, I could see that, you know, the whole team was obviously applauding each other, cheerful, happy, everything. Reece James, our captain, went over to Nicholas Jackson, kind of grabbed him, and they like had this little chat where it just seemed like from where I was standing that Reece was telling him, head up, you know, get yourself together, you can do this. And it just looked like he was lifting him up, and that tells me that Jackson certainly is low on confidence. You know, it's been a long time since he's been on the score sheet, and as someone who's been a key part in unlocking score lines, you know, being the first to score, he's really frustrated himself with this kind of pressure to be scoring in games now where we really need a winner or we need a decider, and he's not been able to do that for us. And I think that's where his confidence has really dropped. So I do worry about Nico, guys, and I'm sure a lot of you will probably be quite upset with him, and there's reason to be. There is reason to be. So yeah, not his best game, but I thought in all our attacking line was pretty much not very potent in that game. And obviously the goals came from Cucurella shortly after. He got on the end of a great cross in. I think it was Noni Madueke who brilliant. I mean, Cucurella has been in the top in that area quite a lot, and yeah, Cucurella, he's just so cool to watch celebrate. He's a funny guy, great player for us. And he's been a bit quiet recently, so good for him to get his goal. And then again, we've retained our lead and we are thinking we need to kill this game off. We need another. And then another comes. Trevoh Chalobah, someone who could have had a goal in the night, but Noni Madueke gets on the end of it. And I always think in the heat of the moment when things like that happen and it looks like it's going in, you just kind of want to rush in and make sure it's going in. And I thought, maybe that was the case, but then Noni said, no, this is what they pay me to do. I wanted to get on the end of that. And it seemed like Trevoh maybe was a bit upset with him about that, but didn't take away from his performance, because Trevoh Chalobah, easily best player, and we'll talk about him shortly and give him his moment of appreciation there. But yeah, Noni Madueke, the way he kind of celebrated as well, you could just see that he really needed a goal there for confidence, even if it wasn't a goal like any of the 3 he scored against Wolves in that first game. But still, he is obviously working hard and trying to make up for a lot of things he's done. And I can still see that Maresca wants to see more from him. And he did mention after the game that he shouldn't be content with just scoring a goal, and he should be going for more. There shouldn't be a drop off in his performance because he has scored a goal. Like, that's not where his kind of contribution should end. So I think that Maresca is still trying to see more from Madueke. Obviously, Neto came off. He wasn't great. I think, he was trying to do more in the first half. And I think, again, like I said at the start of the review, if he had a kind of clinical, maybe target man there, meeting some of the crosses, then he maybe gets an assist on the night. But he doesn't, and he's probably frustrated with himself. He comes off in a little bit of a sulk. Jadon Sancho, Tekers, comes on. And again, he's just twisting and turning players down that left-hand side. He's having fun with it. Sancho just, he looks like a confident player. Would love to see more output from him. But yeah, overall, great to get the 3 goals. Trevoh Chalobah, appreciation time. I mean, guys, when the first chant started with the I was like, no, it's not Conor Gallagher, is it? And then it was Trevoh Chalobah, and I was like, oh yeah, he's back. Wow, how nice to see him back at the Bridge. Also, guys, something I've mentioned recently is that because we've been so void of having players that have been around at the club, bar Reece James, players that have just been around at the club for a while and know kind of what it's like, and kind of have been with us as Chelsea fans throughout, where we've seen so much change, and from backroom staff to players to managers, and there's been such a high turnover. It's nice to just have those players that you recognise and that just know what the club's about. And honestly, Trevoh Chalobah is testament to him as a player, and I want to say as a human being as well. Not that I know him, but sometimes you can just tell. So professional, so cool with it, and his devotion. And I like to think that he absolutely still adores Chelsea, a big part of his life. He had a great little spell at Crystal Palace for half a season, and I'm sure they appreciate him too, because in a short amount of time he made his kind of mark. And he's back in now. We need him. It's almost like a kind of low risk thing till the end of the summer, till the end of the season, most likely, until we see kind of what we have. A lot of fans would say keep Chalobah. We really could do with a player like that, especially someone who will have such an easy kind of settling into the squad. There's no risk of him having a difficult time transitioning or being unfamiliar and uncomfortable in the environment. You kind of take all of those risks away. But the fact is, it's sad that we have considered Chalobah for sale for the last 3 windows, and it's almost kind of just hung on to every been a hangover problem for every other kind of upcoming window. But yeah, so nice to have him back. He got his moment, he got his appreciation, and he just did lift Stamford Bridge as well a little bit. I just always think having that kind of familiar guy there is great. And just to round it off, really, really great performance from Reece James as well. I love the fact that when he returns from injury, he just looks fit, and if he can stay that way, it just would be the best. Reece James, please, manifesting it, stay fit until the end of the season, because we really need you. But yeah, overall, I'd say our defence was probably all round much better, and I don't just mean like defensively, I mean how much they kind of contributed to the attack as well, and the 3 goals we got in the end. So yeah, really great, guys. 3 points, massive game coming up at the weekend as we go away to Manchester City, who are picking up form slowly. And we weren't part of the lucky teams that got to play Manchester City in their recent kind of decline in form, so we have to go there and get a real big statement win. I said this is literally our most important game so far this season. You know, after our dip in form, after the poor results we've had, the fact that our 4th spot has been in jeopardy, the fact that Man City are just below us, the fact that we have a chance to really solidify our spot and there is absolutely no room to drop points. It is a massive game. We might be without Enzo once again this weekend, which could be worrying, but Chelsea, you have done enough this season to show what you're capable of. You have come toe-to-toe with the teams further up the table, and you know, it's something that's maybe a bit concerning that we haven't really beaten teams that are like, you know, top. So this would be great. You know, Man City are not their absolute best. They are beatable. We have seen it. We need to be on our absolute A game this weekend. So yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not as well. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments down below, as I will read them and respond to you guys. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely week, and I will see you at the weekend. Up the Chels.